Week 8 is underway with a really good game, Rams and Vikings. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come for this week. And we're here with our wide receiver and running back rankings for the week. There are no buys. Not sure what the NFL, I don't know. I never remember. Maybe it's just something I never really paid attention to, but I never remembered when buys started there being weeks without buys. And now we're getting that. We have 0 teams on bye, and then we have like 6 in week 12. I wish they could balance that out a little bit, but there must be some kind of logic behind it. But let's get into it with our running backs here. The number one overall, the category we put every single week. Guys that the top 5 guys, it's only 5 guys that I think could finish number 1 overall. Breece Hall, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, and Kenneth Walker. I wanted to kind of throw him in there just to highlight him a little bit. Like, he's been really damn good. I know he missed a couple games there, but I think he's the RB2 in points per game, maybe 3 in points per game behind. I think he's behind Mixon. Let's see. This is half PPR. He's RB4. Henry, Mixon, Barkley, Walker. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to highlight him a little bit. And then the no-brainers, Jordan Mason, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Achane, Kareem Hunt, Josh Jacobs, J.K. Dobbins, Swift, Connor, Javonte I put in there, Cook. There's a large list here. The running backs have been awesome this year. Brian Robinson, Monty. So any guys in particular there you want to talk on? I feel like some of them I was hesitant to put in no-brainers, particularly guys like J.K. Dobbins. I think he was the main one. Even James Cook to a certain extent. But yeah, any guys there, Brian, you want to talk about?
Well, no, I like Dobbins being in here, honestly. I mean, just New Orleans, like, it's like what how are they even gonna like keep up? I know it's the Chargers they're playing, but it's still kind of like I think he's kind of he belongs here for sure. James Cook, like, yeah, I mean, like that matchup, it's going to be interesting, like what actually happens in that game. But Seattle's defense is a bit beat up, so not that he's necessarily like the ground and pound guy. With the emergence of Ray Davis a little bit a few weeks ago, so I don't know. I like it. He's definitely one of those guys that you're starting him. So he belongs.
Yeah, you're probably right. Like it is just one of those. I guess it's more of like, I think it's his work in the receiving game that I'm a little bit disappointed in basically his entire career, because he was kind of like pegged as like, oh yeah, he can really catch the ball. Like that's what he does best type of thing. And we really haven't seen a great season. I mean, he had 44 last year, which is, for a starting running back who's playing every, 17 games, that's pretty standard. That's nothing amazing. So he's and kind of this year, it's kind of going back to that a little bit. 20 catches, 11 catches in 6 games, so just under 2 a game. Has only had more than 2 twice this year, so I guess that's one of the reasons. But I agree with you. He's generally a must-start kind of guy, especially on that offense. And I think the Ray Davis work last week was a little bit because of a potential. Didn't they kind of blow them out last week? Yeah, they won 34-10. So I think it was a little bit like late in the game type of work. So I'm not super worried about Ray Davis, taking over anything significant from Cook. So, yeah, and then the other guys like Dobbins, really good matchup against the Saints as well. They're kind of the team you want to target. Them in Carolina, which is why Javonte's here as well. So, Derrick Henry on pace for break the single season rushing record. So keep an eye on that. And he's on pace for over 25 touchdowns as well. But into the a few guys here in the next tier. These are the I'm nervous tier. So these are guys that you've been generally starting for the most part, week in and week out, at least over the last couple of weeks, and some of them longer. Chuba Hubbard. I'm nervous because it's Bryce Young. Yeah, and Denver's defense is pretty good, but it's Bryce Young taking over that offense, and Chuba was terrible. His good games came with Dalton. Tony Pollard going up against the Lions is tough, and that game could get out of hand quickly. Lions are 11.5-point favorites. At least they were early in the week. Chase Brown, it's a combination of like, it's not fully his backfield yet. And he is playing a team that's been pretty good against the run. Eagles, I think they're top 5-ish, or maybe top 7. And then Ramondre Stevenson's another guy where we've seen some bad games. He's going up against the Jets. So is there anyone in particular in this group that you are most nervous about or least nervous about? Or
it's
guys?
Honestly, like just a comment like about the guys like Chuba. I think he can continue being good. Like he had one good game with Bryce. I mean, it wasn't a good game, but at least he's involved in the passing game, and Deontay and Thielen both got ruled out.
Yeah.
Was it both? Yeah. So I expect that to like kind of maintain. He'll get some short area work in the passing game, and he is their obvious back. So, like, I mean, Denver's defense is obviously for real, it seems like, but I think you're still firing him up. He might as well try and get one more game out of him before Jonathan Brooks takes over everything. No. Yeah. I know we've talked about that a few times. And honestly, like with Chase Brown too, like, I think he has kind of become the guy there, like as far as like it's not like a workhorse role, but the 60-40 splits in the last couple of games, I think he's gonna be involved, and like they're gonna need him to kind of keep the passing game lanes open. So I do like that in general. Like Tony Pollard is actually the one that I'm really worried about. Like, just given the matchup is really tough, but he has been like good in general, and he is the guy. So involved in the passing game as well, and it's like, what else is like it's Calvin Ridley. And that's about it. And he
might not even play,
right? He's dealing with he actually got cleared 2 minutes ago. Wow, that's a timely update right there.
Yeah.
I was gonna say but he might not even be there. So yeah, I think you're definitely throwing all the guys out there that are in this category, but I get being nervous. Like if you have a good pivot, like honestly, like in our next category, we have like Mostert. I think I'd throw him out there over probably all 4 of these guys, honestly.
Yeah, probably all these guys I'd play over maybe all these other, guys above them. And that is important to note. This tier list isn't necessarily telling you start these 4 over these 3. It's more of just grouping them together. And I actually think I would be starting all 3 of these guys potentially over the other ones. It's the solid RB2s. I feel pretty confident in these guys, relatively confident. Najee, which is kind of crazy to think, but he's been really good the last 2 weeks. He's finally looking good and, averaged 7.6 and 4.9 yards per attempt the last 2 games. Jaylen Warren is taking a little bit more, which we'll talk about later, but still feel pretty good about Najee Harris here. Rachaad White with Bucky Irving, although he did this. I made this thinking, I thought I read a report Bucky wasn't going to play, and then he is now going to play. But so that might actually lower Rachaad White a little bit. But I do think he's going to be valuable in the passing game with Godwin and Evans out. And then, Raheem Mostert with Tua back. Like, Mostert's been getting good work since coming back from the injury. Just the offense hasn't been great. So I feel pretty good about these 3 guys. And if Bucky Irving does play, are you kind of dropping Rachaad White a bit to like a flex kind of guy?
I'm not really sure if I'm going to go quite that far. As like you said, like he's going to get a little more work in the passing game. That kind of was his superpower the last couple of years, or his first 2 years, I guess, same years. So I think he can be good enough. Like the game script could get out of control a little bit. That game against Atlanta a few weeks ago was a lot of back and forth, and I don't know if there's going to be a lot of back and forth this time, but I mean, ball control could be a little bit more of the game plan without Godwin and Evans in that game. So I still like White.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. He had 6 catches last year. I think a lot of it came on that. It wasn't technically garbage time, but late in the game, down 10, and they're trying to make something out of it. So, next up, we have our flexes. These guys are getting enough work to be considered flexes, or, in the case of Madison, he's getting enough work to be considered a flex. He is playing the Chiefs, which is not super exciting there, obviously. But I mean, you just look at the usage. I think that game can still stay close because Chiefs aren't blowing anyone out. So they might be able to run the ball. And Madison, 15, 14, and 23 carries the last 3 weeks, along with 2, 5, and 3 catches. So you just can't really ignore that type of production or that type of volume. Rico Dowdle is really interesting. This is more of I'm taking a swing here because I think if they're going to move to Rico Dowdle, this is the week to do it because they're coming off the bye, and teams generally transition a little bit, bring on rookies a little bit more, or change a little bit, make tweaks in their offense. And if they're going to give Rico, the majority of the work, it's going to be this week. And they play San Francisco, and I don't think that's a terrible matchup, even though the perception is that it is. It hasn't been this year. And then Nick Chubb, I'll throw in here. He's just too good to not throw in here. We didn't see much of him, but he did play. He played 36% of the snaps, and generally how teams approach this, they go up from a 35% to close to 50% to, and then they keep going up. So I think at least 45% of the snaps for Nick Chubb, and I'll take that over a lot of players in the NFL. So running backs here. So any comments on those 3 guys? You think they are going to go to Dowdle, the Cowboys?
Yeah, I feel better about Dowdle. Well, it's kind of funny. I think I feel the best about him. I think I'd move Madison out of the lineup as I'd put him down in the want to bench category, just given the matchup. And I mean, it is nice that he's involved in the passing game as well, but it's just I don't really see him having anything that you're excited about. I mean, the Chiefs basically held just look at what they did to Kamara before their bye week, and basically they held Kamara to about 11 and a half half PPR points. So I don't think Madison's going to get there because he is no Alvin Kamara,
No, so, I guess what is a flex in a half PPR league? I guess I consider it more 8 to 10 points. And I think Madison can get there. Chiefs are giving up the least amount of points to running backs, to your point, so far this year. But, I think the game can stay close enough to where they can run the ball 15 plus times with Madison. Chiefs just haven't blown anyone out. Why do we think they're going to blow the Raiders out? I don't think we should necessarily.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. I don't know. I don't see it going well.
Probably not. But I mean, you're looking at it. It's this guy's had 15 plus touches with 3 catches each of the last 3 weeks. Can we really start other guys that we're going to talk about down here? So, no, I get it. I definitely could see it going south quickly for him, but sometimes you got to just look at the volume a little bit and be just give me 8 to 10 points. That's all I need type of thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, was there someone else you wanted to comment here?
Or? No. Yeah, Rico is I think he will be their lead running back, but it's what is that? What is that going to mean? San Francisco has not been very good against the run, which it actually kind of surprised me. I mean, they're kind of, Are they more middle of the pack?
Yeah.
Find them. Yeah, they're like
They
right in the middle.
are 15th.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not super excited about that, but I think coming fresh off the bye, like it is kind of they need to get their season really cooking now. So doesn't mean they will, but they need to get it together for sure. The Cowboys.
Yeah. The next group are some intriguing players here. Jalen Warren is in that list of intriguing, and Sean Tucker. This was again thinking, that Bucky Irving was going to be out. Bucky Irving might not play too much; they might just like rest him a bit. But when it comes to Warren, obviously he was injured at the beginning of the year, and they've kind of brought him back slowly a little bit. But he got up to 51% of the snaps last week, which is kind of what he was doing last year. He had 12 carries and 2 catches as well. So, he could be the better of the two backs. And I don't think he's ever going to take over the backfield from Najee or anything, but he could get a little bit back to what he was last year. And then, Sean Tucker, he's looked good when he's touched the ball. If it's 2 guys there in Tampa Bay, I don't mind, taking a chance on Tucker.
Yeah, for sure. And did they actually say Bucky's going to play? I know they said that he might play or he's expected. He's just listed as questionable.
They said on Sleeper, it was, I'm trying to find it. Update, Bucky Irving will play week 8, barring a setback.
That's what I thought I saw too. But
yeah,
I'm also looking on Sleeper, and it doesn't quite say that here, but I thought I got that update earlier. Yeah, I mean, let's see it. It's good to see Warren getting more involved, coming back from did he have off-season injuries? Is that what it was? Or I guess it was just
Warren. It was like the like hamstring stuff, right? That he had.
Yeah, for some reason I felt like he was starting off slow. Wait, is that was in the preseason though?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's right. It was like the week before the season started. I remember now, and it was kind of like, oh, is he going to play? We don't know. And then he played a little bit and kind of re-injured himself, and obviously was on like a very heavy snap count.
Yeah.
Or at least below expectation, I guess. So,
yeah,
not a whole lot there, honestly. Like with Tucker, I don't know that game. Like we said, that Tampa could be playing from behind quite a bit, and which will limit how much Tucker could play, even if it was just him and White.
Mm-hmm. Into the next group is just guys I want to bench. It's Tyrone Tracy. A little bit is because of the matchup, which is against Pittsburgh. And also, like, I'm not 100% sure they're just going to, like, do the usage of what they did last week, which was, like, 65, 60, 40. I think it was, like, 65, 35. Tracy, maybe a little bit higher. Zach Moss, as we talked about, Chase Brown is kind of the lead guy there. Zach Moss still has his role, but it's also just not a great matchup against Philly. And then Eckler without Jaden Daniels, don't really want to mess with that, really. So I don't know. You mentioned you would throw Madison in there, which is fine. Am I wrong about any of these 3 guys about wanting to bench them? Or
I'd be kind of interested in Eckler, I guess, like as a low end flex play. I don't feel great about that, but I don't know. Like, yeah, without Jaden Daniels, it's like, what is that going to look like? Let's see. What did Eckler do last week with Mariota?
Didn't do much.
Not much at all.
No.
I kind of might have expected a little more in the passing game, but yeah, it's not looking so hot, I guess. But I think given the talent, and yeah, where's Chicago on the rankings here?
I mean, they're a team you want to run more than you want to pass against them. The pass
Yeah,
defense is
sure.
better, so
Yeah, and they're going to have to keep the ball away from Caleb if they want to win that game. So, but
mhm.
yeah, so I could see like that could be a little bit more of a ball control game too. So it might lean more towards Brian Robinson, obviously over Eckler, but I don't know. Eckler could be in there to spell him a bit. So
Yeah,
I kind of like him as the low end flex play.
yeah, definitely have to be PPR. Handcuff plus, guys that are handcuffs, but they also give you something each game. Algier, Ray Davis, Charbonnet. Maybe there's a couple other guys you can throw in here, but these are all guys that need to be rostered, especially if you have their running back as we enter closer to playoffs. So I know we're only halfway through, but if you're sitting there at 6-1, start thinking about like consolidating your roster in a couple of weeks. Getting your handcuffs to your players as you head into the playoffs. And then we have injury guys here. Jonathan Taylor. I don't know what the latest on him is. I know he was limited, I believe, or was it limited in full? I'm double checking right now. Alvin Kamara is on this list, Bigsby and ETN. So limited in full for Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, you're starting him if he's healthy. He's a no-brainer.
The 3 weeks are up.
Yep. And Saints. What do we have from Kamara? We have a limited.
I see an hour ago that he got taken off the injury report. So
okay, well then you're playing Kamara.
I think they did say he's been playing with a broken thumb.
Yeah,
which is crazy because he's still catching the ball.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
what the hell, dude? So I guess that's not something you need to worry about. Apparently, you don't need a thumb to be Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, both those guys are obvious starts. Question is with the Jags guys, like obviously if ETN's out, you can start Bigsby. I think he has a pretty good matchup there against the Packers as well. They're kind of near the middle of the pack. The question is if ETN starts, like what do we do? Are we starting ETN? Are we still starting Bigsby? Are we avoiding both? Are we starting only ETN? Like, what if we get reports that ETN's good to go Sunday morning? Like, what are you doing if you have Bigsby, if you have ETN?
I think if, I'd be surprised if ETN plays at this point, but honestly, I'm still throwing him out there. I mean, this game could get away from them pretty quickly. I mean, Green Bay is really good in the passing game, and that is how you beat the Jags pretty handedly. Not that you need to like game script that up too much, because they're not that great against the run either. They're a little closer to middle of the pack, but they're in the bottom third. I just think this game could get a little out of hand pretty quickly against the Jacksonville. So I think ETN kind of has like insulated value in that sense if he does play, because he will be involved in the passing game. And so, yeah, like I'm not as happy about the idea of starting Bigsby in this matchup. I almost kind of think that like Dearness Johnson could be kind of especially if ETN misses, like he's a sneaky flex play, I think.
Yeah, I'd still start Bigsby. Like, I don't necessarily think I see a pretty decent chance that this is a closer game. Like Packers are good. Jordan Love does make mistakes. He leads the NFL in interceptions, and like he can keep a game close, I think, for the most part. But yeah, I generally agree with you. I think if ETN's there, you're gonna be starting him. So into the wide receivers, into our wide receiver rankings here. And real quick, if you are enjoying the video, make sure to subscribe. We hit our 700 subscriber goal, which we set to get there before the end of the month. So we still got 6 days, and we'll see how far we get in the next 6 days. Number 1 overall, Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, normal guys. And then Tyreek Hill, I'm throwing him in here because it's good to say that. I know he's dealing with an injury, but if he plays, I'm 100%. I've had people asking on a couple live streams this week, do I start Tyreek Hill? And the answer is absolutely yes. If Tua is out there, you're starting Tyreek Hill. And then the no-brainers, less on the wide receiver side. And I did look it up. 15 running backs averaging 14.5 or more half PPR points. I think there's only 8 wide receivers, so it just shows you it's been a running back year for sure. But we have Drake London, Neighbors, T. Higgins, Diggs, DJ Moore. I put Pickens in here. One game with Russell Wilson, he has his best game of the year. I'm just gonna assume it's gonna be more like that. Devonta Smith, Brian Thomas, and I put Amari Cooper in here, who showed you what he can do. And I think he only ran 8 routes or 12 routes last week, and he was targeted on 5 of them, 4 catches, 66 yards, and a touchdown. So any guys in particular you want to highlight there?
No, I am excited to see what Amari Cooper does this week, with a full snap share. Obviously, it takes a little time to build a little chemistry there, but what we saw last week was very promising, just in that limited participation. So, Stephon Diggs replacement, Amari Cooper to the moon.
It was important for Buffalo to do that though, because if you have Super Bowl aspirations, you need someone on the offense that kind of dictates coverage, and for the most part, and that's
you got to drive a little bit, and we know he can still win. He's just dealing with some really bad quarterback play up until last week. Not that Josh Allen's really been lighting it up either, but we know he's good. He just hasn't needed to necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Thomas definitely he's a for sure start. I think I see him more as the wide receiver 2 with upside, but he's been very good as a rookie. Very good in general. You're completely happy with him. A wide receiver 6 on the year, which is just crazy. Yeah,
that's my point of it's weird that I think the general consensus feels that way, but it's why do we feel that way? He's the wide receiver 6. Why should we feel because I kind of agree with you. I almost think of it, is he a no-brainer? And then you look at it, he's literally the wide receiver 6 in total points. A little bit less or a little bit lower in wide receiver 11 in points per game because he hasn't had his bye. But it's why do we even question that? At all?
I don't think he's gonna finish that high, and maybe people are tempering expectations. Given some of the injuries and the buys already, where it's kind of and Tyreek and with the poor quarterback play, there's plenty of guys I'd rather have him over, I have over him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's part of it, but no, he's been a godsend to. I'm sure people drafted him in the 8th, 9th, maybe even 10th round. I don't remember ADP. It's getting a long time ago.
Just one other thing about him. If you told me, and this is what Trevor Lawrence is on pace for, you told me Trevor Lawrence is on pace for 3,700 passing yards and 21 passing touchdowns, and that Brian Thomas was somehow still the wide receiver 6, I'd be there's no way. Absolutely, a rookie wide receiver. If you told me he was wide receiver 6, I'm holy crap, is Trevor Lawrence going to be the MVP of the league this year? That's what I would be thinking. So I just think on top of that, Lawrence hasn't been playing well, and except for the last couple of games maybe. And so, if Lawrence can play a little bit more like he's played the last 3 weeks, where he threw for 370, 230, 200, he's had 3 of the last 4 weeks, 2 touchdowns. If he plays more like that, I think we can expect potentially even a little bit more from Brian Thomas.
Yeah, they're getting Jacksonville's kind of figuring it out a little bit, which is it's good to see. they're not good by any stretch, but they're decent enough. Like they're playing like solid football games right now, so it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely a good conversation there. Wide receiver 2 with upside: Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin. McLaurin's more because I don't think Jaden Daniels is going to play, or else I'd probably have him in the no-brainer category. But McLaurin still was good with Mariota. I think a lot of that was just they were playing Carolina, but still 6 for 98. Have a tougher matchup with the Bears for sure, but the Bears are a little bit beat up with their defensive backs. And then the 2 Jets guys, like one of them is probably going to have a really good week. We just don't, it could be either one, I would say. So I'll just leave him here for now. Unless you disagree there.
No, I definitely a little nervous about McLaurin, but he's a hard guy to bench, but yeah, I am scared to start him this week, definitely without Jaden Daniels. But like you said, like you ended up all right last week, so different beast, this week, but hard guy to sit down. But I could see him going down a little bit to kind of that 3 wide receiver league category we got going on down here.
Yeah, it is important to note, like Mariota, it's not like you were starting, like Tim Boyle or something. It is like still a guy who's still the 2nd overall pick, and obviously he didn't live up to that, but he can still do something. So I had to separate these because I forgot to separate them. So 3 wide receiver leagues. It's JSN once again. I keep throwing him in there. I know. But like he's still a top 36 receiver, which does, I guess, technically qualify him to be in 3 wide receiver leagues. And it sounds like Metcalf is going to be out, so that kind of makes it even a little bit more in favor for JSN, hopefully, although he is wide receiver 49 in points per game. Darnell Mooney, I throw in here, just been really good. Top 26, wide receiver 26 in points per game. Olave, I have in here without Derek Carr. Romeo Doubs, I keep talking about him. Like he runs the most routes on a really good offensive team. So I'm always going to feel comfortable starting Romeo Doubs, especially in deeper leagues. Keenan Allen, who, it's a lot of it has to do with the matchup a little bit. I think he caught 2 touchdowns last time we saw him. So hopefully he's completely healthy and everything. Tyler Lockett, if I'm going to put JSN in here, I have to put Lockett in here because Lockett's been better than JSN. And then Khalil Shakir, who I don't think much is going to change with Khalil Shakir. I mentioned this last week. I don't think much is going to change with his production with Amari Cooper there. I think you're still going to get a consistent floor, 4, 5, 6 catches, 40, 50, 60 yards with the occasional touchdown. So, am I crazy continuing to put JSN in here, or am I being a homer?
Maybe a little, but like you said, if Metcalf misses, he's an easy start, and even if Metcalf was going to be out there, like he's probably kind of in that flex territory. I mean, I feel like we're still kind of chasing week 2 a little bit there because we haven't really seen a whole lot since then, even with Geno throwing a ton of passes. Like he's getting the targets, like he's getting some nice catches, but nothing over, he's not quite putting it all together yet.
Yeah. No, he's not. He's not. What do you think of Olave with are you kind of nervous? Is he more of like a boom bust player with Rattler?
I don't know. It's hard to know because we didn't get to see them play together, Yeah, like I know and it's hard to really judge like what Rattler's going to be. Just given the last 2 weeks, last week was Denver with basically nobody, for the Saints. So I think Olave, he might just be kind of that little bit of that safety valve for Rattler. Like I don't think he is going to put up a big game, but I think you're kind of just excited to have Olave back. Hopefully you forgot about 2 weeks ago when he got you -1 point, basically, like when he got knocked out of the game with the fumble. But things happen, so I think easy in 3 wide receiver sets or leagues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Boom bust. I mean, Marvin Harrison, I don't know what the hell's going on, but what a disappointment he's been here. Like a lot of stuff coming out. Like, does Kyler Murray even like him? Could see a squeaky wheel game for sure, but man, he's been incredibly disappointing. Wide receiver 39 in points per game. He's had three good games. 3 good games and 4 bad ones. So like under 5 points bad. So I just kind of throw him in this boom bust category until I see otherwise. Tank Dell again, throwing him in here, even though he hasn't really boomed at all. It's more because he's playing the Colts. I feel like there's a bit of a squeaky wheel coming on here, but man, 0 points last week. How is that even possible? But CJ Stroud only threw for 86 passing yards, so like they were just completely wiped out by the Packers. And then Worthy, I throw in here, who that's just kind of what he is. He's a boom bust player. I think it's interesting with Worthy. Something I want to bring up here is he's actually been better than Rashee Rice was the first 7 weeks of the season last year. I went and looked back, and they're very similar. I think Rashee Rice was like wide receiver 42 in points per game. Xavier Worthy is wide receiver 38 in points per game. Through the first 7 weeks, and then we know obviously what Rice did the end of the rest of the year. I just think people are very down on Worthy because they're expecting more because of the speed and first round pick, and he's with Mahomes and, the opportunities there. It's like, well, like Rashee Rice, kind of the same situation last year, and he came on. So let's just wait and see, I guess. But boom bust players.
But DeAndre Hopkins, man, he's gonna eat the lunch. Now
I have an opinion on that, but yeah, we'll get to that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that downfield threat, like for Mahomes, like give the guy a little bit of a break. He's played 7 games, like that boom bust is very like he is that, so far, even though we've only really seen 1 boom game, and it took. Didn't he get 2 touchdowns? Did he get a rushing touchdown in the first week?
Yeah, it was like a rushing and a receiving. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's only showing as 1, but I can only see his receiving work. And I was like, I swear he got 2. But,
he has 2 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think comparing him to Rice last year really like means a whole lot, just because like their game is so different. But I don't know. Like, I think as a flex play, and like he could help you win your week, but like, and pretty easily get you those coveted 10 points that you were talking about earlier, basically on 1 play. That's all it really takes for him. So, yeah, like, I mean, I get it, Juju, did they put Juju on IR? They didn't, right? Like,
I don't think so. He's going to miss some time.
Yeah, I know he's going to miss time. I just wasn't sure if he was going to miss a lot of time, but could open the door a little bit for him. I think Hopkins might help Worthy a little bit. Like if it was only Worthy on that team, him and Kelsey basically, well, Kareem Hunt. I was going to say, I think it would be not as exciting, plus like you mentioned earlier, like it's not like the Chiefs are just like running away with games, or they really need to make that downfield strike as often right now in a lot of games. So yeah, definitely scary, but you can definitely see the case too.
Yeah. The bench, these guys are on the bench for me. Cortland Sutton, even with a good matchup. Calvin Ridley might not even play. Oh no, he got cleared, right? But still, I'm still benching Calvin Ridley. Michael Pittman with Anthony Richardson as the quarterback. Josh Downs is in that same boat. Jerry Jeudy, just haven't seen it for a couple weeks now, and we don't really know what Jameis is going to favor and stuff like that. Demario Douglas, don't really want to start him. A rookie against the Jets just doesn't feel like it's a good idea to try and start someone on that team. And then Christian Kirk, who's also been kind of disappointing. And I don't know, like, I just don't think he provides much upside, Christian Kirk, and he hasn't really been giving you a floor the last 2 weeks. So he's on the bench for me. Which one do you disagree with the most?
I don't know. It's kind of tough.
Man,
I had to start one of these guys. It's probably Demario Douglas. Granted, like he might see a lot of Sauce Gardner. I don't know if the Sauce really shadow guys, and
no, not really.
Yeah, so maybe I mean I don't know if Demario Douglas really gets that necessarily either. Like he gets that like, oh, we have to cover this guy and make them win somewhere else. I don't think that's necessarily who he is just yet.
If Douglas is gonna if he's gonna see one of their guys, it's gonna be I'm trying to remember his name now. It's their slot cornerback though, which Sauce doesn't really play in the slot. Isaiah Oliver is who it is, who is not, a Sauce and DJ Reed are much better players. So I think there's potential there for Douglas. So I agree with you. About if I had to start one of these guys.
He's got to be the one, basically. Mm-hmm. You could just see like these other guys kind of being a nothing. Like Ridley has been a nothing. Sutton, they're playing Carolina, so they can just run that ball. Judy, just like you said, who knows? Like we haven't seen him do a whole lot, but now he's could be the potential number one, so he kind of belongs in the I'd rather honestly start Tillman, like Cedric Tillman, just based on what we saw last week, with Jameis. So I don't know. It's not pretty.
I don't know how much Jameis actually threw to Tillman. I don't even know how many passes Jameis threw last week. It was DTR, and then Jameis came in. He attempted 11 passes. So I don't know how many of those went to Tillman, but I don't necessarily disagree with you there. Don't mind taking a shot, guys. Might even start all these guys over. Probably would over all the bench guys. Wandale still getting a lot of targets. Dontavian Wicks just on a good offense, and he's a good receiver. Jalen Tolbert, should be a good offense, and he's been getting some work. And then Roma Dunze I throw in here just because it's the Washington matchup, and Caleb's looking good, and I still think Roma Dunze is a really good receiver. So don't mind taking a shot on these guys. Any thoughts on any of those? Is anyone in particular you like there?
No, well, I do like the Odunze call. Like I am kind of looking at one of my leagues where I'm like, I need to fit DJ Moore into this lineup, even though he hasn't been DJ Moore of last year, but anyone that was kind of expecting that, like, should have been a little, like, check it at the door a little bit, playing with the rookie quarterback and the wide receiver room, obviously more crowded. So I like the Odunze call. I'm trying to shove him into the lineup given the matchup and coming off the bye.
Yeah, for sure. And seeing Caleb looking good lately, so hopefully that translates. Guys, I'm stashing if I can. Cedric Tillman. Don't really want to start any of these guys, but I want to stash them. Tillman, Pearsall, Keon Coleman, who had a big game, and maybe Mari opens things up for him a little bit. Trey Palmer. It's the Bucks guys. Shepard, Palmer, McMillan. Take a chance on one of the three because Baker could just be good without those other two guys, and someone's going to catch passes. Troy Franklin. Kind of coming on, rookie receiver. Maybe Cortland Sutton gets traded. Who knows? And then Josh Palmer, who's had, he's looked decent recently, and the Chargers are starting to throw the ball more. So just wanted to throw those guys out there. We have a lot to get to here with the injury and the help stuff, so I want to get to this. Hopkins, where would you throw him in? Like gut reaction is like, where would you throw him in? Like what tier are you throwing Hopkins in?
Maybe the don't mind taking a shot. No, he belongs in the stash. Maybe that's a cop-out answer, but he's in one of those two. I don't want to start him this week. I don't know how familiar he's going to be with the offense, and the Andy Reid offense is generally a little complicated for people to pick up. But he is a seasoned vet, so it might be some things that he's never seen before, but then again, it might be something he could just pick right up. So I definitely don't want to start him this week, but I'd say low end flex if you're desperate. And and pile that on with the not just like that part of like not knowing the offense and everything and no chemistry yet with Mahomes, but just like the lower target volume and just they've been winning games without him, so I don't think they're going to necessarily shove it in there and design stuff for him, like, or at least not a ton of it right off the bat.
Yeah, but my thoughts with Hopkins is like obviously you're in a better situation. I think it's much better for just the entire Chiefs offense more than it is for like Hopkins himself. I think it opens things up a bit. It's good for Worthy. It's good for Mahomes. It's good for Kelsey. Hopkins will have his games, that's for sure. So I probably put him in the either the stashing or don't mind taking a chance on him. I'll throw him in there. A lot of injuries here. Jaden Reed came across with an injury. Trying to pull that up and see where he's at. He had a full practice, so let's assume he's playing. Was Jaden Reed in the no-brainer tier? I mean, against Jacksonville?
Yeah, I think so. Like he is the guy you feel most confident about in the offense. Like but he's not a slam dunk, but I think he is kind of the guy that the most talented and kind of the guy they depend on the most, not necessarily on every route, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So then Christian Watson, is he in the boom bust category, 3 wide receiver category? I don't really think he's much higher than that. One of those two, I would say. He had a good game a couple weeks ago against the Cardinals, but he caught a touchdown. He caught 3 passes. And then 1 for 9 last week. So where are we throwing him in? The boom bust?
Yeah, and we haven't really seen the boom this year, so it's kind of hard to say that. But we're kind of going off of history there. Like we know, like he can easily be a decent flex, like in one play, kind of a thing. Yeah. So that's kind of where that comes from.
Yeah. Waddle, I have. I'd say at the very least 3 wide receiver. I'm even thinking potentially wide receiver 2 with upside with Tua back. He had a full practice, full participation this on Friday. So I'm expecting him to play. Like I'm willing to go as high as wide receiver 2 with upside. But I'm fine with settling at 3 wide receivers. So I'll let you kind of make the decision there.
Yeah, we'll go wide receiver 2 with upside. I think they will be kind of slinging it around just to make everyone feel good. Everyone's got to get fed this week just to kind of get the mindset going again for the second half of the season. That team has just been so bad since Tua left. Like they got to fire up that engine. So get Waddle involved.
Absolutely. Zay Flowers, DNP limited. If Zay Flowers is playing, he's playing the Browns. I put him in that 3 wide receiver category, but we'll keep him here for now just because there's a good chance he actually doesn't play. Bateman, I kind of want to start Bateman either way, like either as like a don't mind taking a shot, and then if Flowers is out, like potentially like boom bust wide receiver 3 guy. Like he's been really good lately.
Yeah,
Bateman, and brought him up 2 weeks ago, I think. And it's nice to see it kind of all play out to where, he's had 4 straight really good games. They're not really good, but 4 for 58 and a touchdown, 4 for 71, 4 for 20, 4 for 121 and a touchdown. So if Flowers is out, like I'll put him in the 3 wide receiver. If not, like I'll throw him in maybe like the boom bust or don't mind taking a shot type of guys. So he's been good there. McConkey, if he plays, I don't know. I'm not really interested too much.
Not really. He is going to be the target hog there, or so it seems, like he is the dude, but what does that really mean? Like we kind of mentioned earlier about, this could be just like a very heavy run game situation against New Orleans. Just keep the ball away from them. Not that you're afraid of what they're going to do with it. More like take the ball away from it and just don't give it back.
Yeah.
So not excited about McConkey this week. Why did you put him under injury? Oh, he didn't practice on Thursday. Okay.
Yeah, he's DMP the first 2 days. Yeah, I mean, even in PPR, McConkey's the wide receiver 45 in total points. Like, it's just not he has had his bye, so maybe he's a little bit higher. Wide receiver 47, so he's actually lower in points per game. So yeah, it's not super exciting. Jacoby Myers sounds like he might not play. I think he went limited to DMP. Yeah, limited to DMP, which is never good. I don't mind taking a shot on him if he's out there, but it sounds like he's not going to be out there.
Yeah, it says Antonio Pierce said he's expected to suit up, but do we trust that?
Yeah, I don't mind taking a shot. Then I don't mind taking a shot. Debo, who was just getting fluid pumped out of his lungs a few days ago. I mean, if he plays, you're playing Debo wherever you want to put him in. No brainer, wide receiver 2 with upside, whatever. He also says he has a wrist injury, but he's DMP limited. So if he plays, he's an obvious start. It sounds like DK Metcalf's out, or he's going to miss the game. I think he's doubtful. So sounds like, obviously you're starting DK Metcalf if he's playing, but it doesn't sound like he's going to play.
Good, because I'm playing against him in my Dynasty League.
Yeah.
Just take the week off, Metcalf. Debo's more difficult because I have him in one league and I'm playing against him in another. So I don't know what I want to happen.
I mean, that's it. Ideally, you just want like, all right, give me a good game, not a great game, not a terrible game, right? And then you feel good. Like, I think that's whenever I have those, like I that's kind of like I think where I want to fall. Like, all right, you give me 12, 13 half PPR points, like fine, that's fine. So, but anyways, we will be back on tomorrow morning, live streaming again. Like the video, and subscribe if you aren't. Which a decent percentage of people, it's just kind of how YouTube works, but a decent percentage of people who watch aren't subscribed. I do the same thing, so I understand. I've been better at it since we started creating videos, but 77.2% of the people that have watched our videos over the last 28 days are not subscribed. So yeah, just hit that subscribe button. Doesn't take much. It's pretty normal for YouTube. So, but yeah, any last words you want to say?
No, I was going to say, I was just that statistic just kind of surprises me. I'm like, I feel like famous now. So many people.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, we will be back tomorrow morning and then Monday, and our schedule at this point if you've been watching. So appreciate everyone, and we will see you all in the next video.